Hi. So today I'm going to talk about the roadmap to becoming a quant. So if you want to make a career in quantitative finance, so what roadmap you should take in order to find your first job or grow in your career, right? So I'm going to talk about the details of it. Based on my own experience, I have been working in this field for more than a decade, and I have also seen people very closely, my seniors, my friends working in this field. So based on my experience of talking to many experienced professionals, but also based on my own career, I like to talk about the roadmap one should take in order to become a quant, right? So before that, I'll briefly talk about what is quantitative finance, who is a quant. I've discussed about it many times on this channel, but if you're new on this channel and hearing this word for the first time, maybe I'll briefly talk about what is who is a quant and what is quant finance. Well, quant finance actually combines mathematics plus finance and maybe coding also, right? So loosely speaking, if you have understanding of mathematical modeling, you have understanding of finance, and coding, you can combine all three skills in order to work in mathematical side of finance. And in quantitative finance, you as a quant will be sort of building models or validating models or implementing models or working on different models on different areas such as validation, audit, building models, implementing models, monitoring models, and so on and so forth. As I've said, it combines mathematics, coding, and finance. It's a technical career. It requires you to have certain technical skills. Your understanding of finance, investment, risk management will be extremely important. Unlike many other technical career, for example, if you work as a software development, you may not have to sort of understand the business that much, although it does help. But in quant finance, you really need to. That's really a must thing to know. That means you have to understand finance and risk management in order to work as a quant. Although as a beginner, no will expect you to have no understanding of that, but as you grow in your career, your knowledge of business will matter a lot, right? And this is a career for you if you are interested in mathematics and you have some interest in finance. Now, you may not know whether you have interest in finance because you probably haven't ever worked in finance and you have no idea about what is finance is all about. But I'm sure if you have done some mathematics in university, or you have done science or engineering in university, if you have interest in mathematics or not, or whether you have interest in coding or not, right? So in order to know whether you have interest in finance, you can sort of start reading about bit of finance, talk to people in the field of finance, do some investment yourself, do some trading yourself, take a credit card, or take a loan, maybe even student loan. You will get to know actually whether you like this field or not, right? So I'm going to talk about the roadmap, but before that, what is important is that you ask yourself as to what it is, and why you want to do this, and how you will do this, right? These three questions are very important. You ask yourself what it is all about, try to understand what the field is about. I've made quite a number of videos on YouTube, but many people, other people also have made good videos on YouTube. You should go through them, and you can you can read a lot of the blogs on the internet to know about what this field is all about, right? So having understanding of what it is super important, right? And then ask yourself as to why you want to do this. Do it for good reasons, right? Many places on the internet, you will hear that this is a highly lucrative field, no doubt about it. But other fields are also lucrative. If you do well in any field, I think you can make good money. Although the average salaries are somewhat better in quant finance compared to many other technical fields. Having said that, your interest matters a lot, because in the field of finance, either you belong to that place or you don't belong to that. You'll come to know that after working for 6 months or maybe 1 year time, whether you like finance or not. If you don't like, you probably have to move to other places, right? So asking this question why you want to do this is very important, therefore, right? And the next question you must ask is how you will do it. And that's the topic of this video. I'm going to talk about if you have interest and you have some skills already in mathematical modeling, or you have understanding of mathematics and you have some experience with coding, how you can build a career in the field of quantitative finance, right? So that's the topic of this video, right? So the first step is that you should assess yourself, right? What's your situation, right? Do you already have a degree, right? In which field? Whether you have a bachelor of science, master of science, or bachelor of technology, engineering. You already have a PhD, maybe. Okay, many people having PhD in physics, mathematics, engineering, computer science. They want to pursue career in the field of finance, right? You will find so many PhD working in the field of quant finance. But there are also people from quant background, as in mathematical background, such as mathematics or physics or engineering. They also want to make a career in the field of finance. So assess your situation, right? If you do not have a technical background, right, technical qualification, imagine you have a bachelor of arts in political science, right? Will you still become will you still find quant finance interesting? I do not know, to be honest, because you may not have any background of mathematics, and that will be a problem, right? If you can study on your own and do well in mathematics, why not? You can make a career in quant finance. I know people doing extremely well in the field of quant finance, people coming from accounting background, right? Accounting is not very technical, very mathematical in nature, but many people coming from accounting background do well. Many people come from economics background and they do very well. Economics is quantitative, but not as quantitative as engineering or science. But people from economics background, they do well. So assess your situation, and if you do not have a technical degree already, you could pursue a technical degree. For example, doing an MBA finance, MA economics, that sort of degree, right? So assess your situation. If you already have a technical qualification in science or engineering, computer science, then you already have the requisite qualifications, right? So in which area, right? Imagine you have a degree in mathematics, that's really good, or statistics, or computer science. All these degree programs are good, but imagine you have a master's degree in zoology, okay, or botany, right? Although you still have studied you have studied science, but you probably haven't studied a lot of mathematics, right? Then you have to brush up your mathematics and so on. So, and understand that this is one field where you need to have genuine interest in finance. If you have no interest in finance, then you will struggle. But don't worry if you are still not sure about it, right? You can always and know more about finance by reading and talking to people. So don't worry about that. Are you good with numbers? Actually, as long as you have a degree in science or engineering, I assume that you are good with numbers, right? And do you have knowledge of coding, right? Have you ever done any programming? Good to have some coding experience, but coding is, in my personal opinion, some people might differ, it's somewhat secondary in quant finance compared to mathematics. Your mathematical skills should be good. It's really good to have good coding skills, but in many quantitative finance areas, you do not have to be an amazing coder. If you can get things done using some coding, that's great. But it's changing, by the way. Quantitative finance is becoming more coding driven over time. So having experience with coding really helps a lot, no doubt about it. But if you do not have any experience with coding, that's not a very difficult thing to do. You can do a course in Python or C Sharp or Java. You'll learn coding in 3 months time. That's not a big deal. Because in many countries, actually, right, people coming from science background or core engineering background have no experience with coding, right? But don't worry about coding, right? You can always learn a bit of coding. Actually, that's not a big deal. There are two main paths, actually, right? One is either you go for a full-time degree in quant finance, right? You already have a bachelor degree or master's degree. You want to do a full-time master's degree in quant finance or financial mathematics, financial engineering, preferably in US or Europe or Singapore, in these more advanced countries. Or the second path is that you do not go for higher education. You already have a degree, right, in science or in economics or in engineering. You go for certifications, you do some courses, you do self study, and you get real world experience, and through that you learn and you grow in your career, right? Now path one is not for everyone, right? Not everyone can go for a master's degree. That's quite expensive, but also time consuming, and if you are in the middle of a career, you certainly cannot leave your current job and go for a full-time master's program, right? So most people take the path two, okay, but there are some people who go for path one as well. I'm going to talk about both, okay? So the path one, right? um, so you can go for a master's degree in financial mathematics, mathematical finance, financial engineering, quantitative finance, or even for that matter, financial economics, or just an econometrics degree will also do. Econometrics, in some cases even economics, right? If you have MSc economics from London School of Economics or from Cambridge, there it's still a good enough degree in order to work in quant finance, right? So do a master's degree, preferably in European Union, Singapore, the UK, or the US. And go for 1 year programs. In my view, the US programs are 2 years, maybe 1.5 year, but the EU programs, the European programs, are mostly 1 year programs. Some are 2 year programs, and 1 year programs are less expensive. And in my view, actually, you don't need 2 years in order to learn quant finance. You need, if you go for a 1 year rigorous program, that's good enough. Because most of the things that you will learn in university will be of little use when you actually work. You learn things on the job, right? You just need to learn the theory and the basics in order to get your first job, and that's why you're doing the master's program. Because most of the people who will be teaching you in university probably wouldn't have any experience with in the applied world, so you won't be learning anything practical over there. But it's important to learn something in a very structured way, and that's really good. A solid gives you a solid foundation to get started in this field, right? Again, it's going to be theoretical but useful, right? But it's structured. That's very important, right? But in order to learn the practical stuff, you still either do some courses, talk to the industry professionals, talk to people who are working in this field, do internship. Those things are important, right? Connect with people on the LinkedIn in order to learn from them. These things are important, despite having the theoretical knowledge that you probably would have learned from university professors, right? So that's path one. The path two, which is what many people take, is more difficult but more rewarding as well, and I'm going to tell you as to why that is so. It saves time, actually, right? You don't have to forego 1 year of time where the tuition fee probably will be 20,000 euro or 25,000 euro, living expenses. You also let go of 1 year, right? So not everybody can afford that, right? It's a costly affair. But in path two, what you do is that you either go for certification, either learn from a mentor, or simply learn on your own, or do all of this, right? You do certification but also learn from a mentor, and also do self-study, right? Most people do all three of them. Okay, not everybody goes for certification, but at least people either learn from a mentor, or they do some online courses, or learn on their own, right? I'm going to talk about how you can pursue all three of them, okay? Thing with certification is that there are not many great certifications in this field, unlike in IT, right, where you have certifications from Oracle, from Microsoft, from Amazon, AWS, and so on and so forth. You don't have such standardized certification in the field of quant finance. There is one which is somewhat recognized, not recognized everywhere in the world, but still somewhat recognized, is the CQF1. It's a very expensive certification. It is It's a quite a decent certification, I would say. It's just that it's quite expensive. If you have money, go for it. There's nothing wrong with that. But you don't have to do it right in the beginning of your career. You could do that after, let's say, working in this field for a couple of years. Once you have saved money, once you are sure that you want to continue in this field for, for a good amount of, for a long time, then you go for CQF. That's my advice. Do not do it right at the beginning of your career, right? Yeah, so what matters really, especially for a beginner, is that how much you know rather than the certification. That means if you have already done CQF, doesn't mean that somebody will give you a job, right? People will ask questions, and if you can answer, only then you will get the job, right? Right. So if you already have a qualification in quantitative fields such as science, whether physics or mathematics or engineering, computer science, then you really don't need a certification at the beginning in order to get your first job, right? But knowledge is very important, right? Because nobody has time to teach you. So you already should have learned some of the things, right? May not be everything in detail, but at least you have learned some of the things in order to get started in the industry, right? So if you want to learn from a mentor, right, so choose one very carefully. There are not many mentors actually, simply because people who have work experience, and they are working in the industry, they have very little time to do these things, right? So nobody will, even if you pay them money, many people probably will refuse to talk to you, because finance is a very stressful area to work in, and once you are working as a full-time guy in the field of finance, you will not want to spend your time in other things, and that's the reason why you simply will find difficult to find a mentor who is working in the industry, who has experience and ready to mentor you. It's difficult, but there are people doing that. Learn from the industry professionals. Even if he or she is not a mentor as such, you can follow some of the industry professionals on the LinkedIn, but elsewhere, maybe on YouTube. Some of them are making content on YouTube, or some of them are writing blogs. Just follow some of them, at least 5 to 6 people. Try to learn them passively, if not actively. So that's one. But it's always good to actually talk to someone one on one, right? If you can get that opportunity, nothing like that, right? Do a course, read some books, but good to have a mentor, right? So that's very important. If you can find one, that's always great, right? Right. And if you're doing some courses, right, make sure that it is it has mix of both theory and applications. Many courses are extremely theoretical, some courses are extremely applied, right? You need both actually, right? If you're going for books, right, if you're learning from books, it's quite a big challenge actually, because most books are very theoretical and very thick, and as a beginner you probably won't get anything. You will get bored and you will leave, like you feel like, okay, this is yeah, it's not for me. Like I'm not meant to be in the quant finance field, because it's so difficult. But actually, when you talk to an instructor, right, talk to someone who's working in the industry, you will see that a lot of the work done in the industry is actually much easier than what you read in the book, right? So don't be scared. So that's one thing I would like to share with you. Okay. Whether self-study is possible or not, yes, why not? Many people have done that. Self-study is definitely possible. Perhaps the most difficult thing to do, without doing a course, without finding a mentor. Can you do everything on your own? Possible, but it will take time. It can be more frustrating, but you can do that, right? You can learn from books, you can learn from blogs and YouTube videos. It's not very structured, so you really have to make it structured. You need to be very disciplined. You need to motivate yourself. So very important that, right? You may be learning way too many unnecessary stuff while you are learning things. You may be lost sometimes, but that's part of the self-study process. You can do that, right? If you have patience, Yes, you certainly can learn on your own, but you need more time for that, right? So first thing is to decide on the syllabus actually, right? If you're doing self-study, see actually what you can cover and what you can't cover. At the very least, find a mentor who can tell you actually what are the things to focus on. I've made some videos on the most important topics in the field of finance. You can watch also and learn from learn those topics from different books and blogs and videos. But do not learn just too many things. Just make it short. Just make a list of topics that you learn. Don't learn just everything under the sun. Choose the one which are important. As a beginner, you're not supposed to. Nobody will expect you to be an expert in everything. So don't try to be. Right. There are things to keep in mind actually. As a beginner, you don't have to go into the depth of everything. That's one big problem many students make when they learn quant finance on their own. They try to understand everything in detail and then simply don't make any progress, simply because you are stuck with one concept. You really want to understand everything about that concept, and that takes months. So you do not make progress, and you simply cannot complete anything, and you lose interest along the way. So don't do that. Learn bit about everything when you start out, and you can specialize later on, right? You can understand everything in detail later on. Once you start working, you'll specialize in one of the many areas available to you, right? So don't specialize too much at the beginning of your career. And especially the theory part, right? If you are learning derivatives and pricing of derivatives, don't go into details of every single derivation or of the formula and all. Can be boring, right? Just learn some of the basics, and move on. Okay, and do projects, right? I can't stress it enough. Doing projects is perhaps the most important thing. If you are learning quantitative finance, for that matter anything, you need to do projects actually. So these are some of the things I wanted to share with you. Let me also tell you that I do have a course on quantitative finance. If you want to pursue this, let me know. These are my details. You can WhatsApp me, or just email me. Okay, you can find my WhatsApp number and email ID in the comment section of this video. I do also provide mentorship. The certification program is very beginner friendly, and it's quite comprehensive. It covers a wide range of quantitative finance topics. I've tried to strike a balance between theory and applications. You will do projects, and it's going to give you a solid foundation of quantitative finance, and you can and then work in different industry, whether it's in banking, fintech, insurance, wealth management, quantitative trading, and so on and so forth, consulting as well. Okay, thanks.